After all that excitement of the previous night, there's no way anyone was going to wake up early. George, Aniki, Jessica, and I were snoring loudly on the beds in the cousin's room. But Maria, who had gone straight to bed without joining in, was completely awake. As she rubbed her sleepy eyes and looked around, she was met with a loud snoring of the other three cousins. For a while, Maria had to think about what had happened. After that, she realized her mother wasn't with her, and she quickly got lonely. Maria left the cousin's room, trying to head to the room that had been arranged for her and her mother. Paying no heed to the three who were sleeping soundly, she slammed the door shut. In response, Byler mumbled and rolled over in his sleep, but it wasn't enough to wake him up. After a while, Maria returned, once again opening the door with a lively bang. When she had left the room, her face had been sleepy, but now that she was back, she looked irritated. After that, she climbed up on Balor's bed, which happened to be the closest, and started yelling and jumping on it like it was a trampoline. After making sure I was awake, Maria moved to George Aniki's bed and started jumping on that too. In that manner, the three of us were all greeted with an extremely pleasant awakening.
ありがとう、マリアちゃん。僕たちは夕べが遅かったから寝坊しちゃったのを起こしてくれたんだね。でも、もう少しだけ起こし方を優しくしてくれると完璧だったかな。
ジョージ兄さんは本当に大人だよ。尊敬するぜ。
もうすぐ7時なんだな。ま、確かにもう起きてもいい頃だぜ。
ママがいない。
ローザおばさんが部屋にいなかったの？もう起きてお屋敷の方に行っちゃったのかな。
Maria kept groaning, ooh, ooh, and looking unhappy. She didn't exactly seem lonely because her mother wasn't around. It was more like she was irritated and thrown off balance because her mother wasn't there when she expected. If we could just tell her where her mother was, that alone would probably calm her down. But unfortunately, we had no way of knowing where Aunt Rosa was, except that she wasn't here.
どうせ朝食に行くことになるんだし、屋敷の方に行こうぜ。
そうだな。マリア、一緒に屋敷へ行こうぜ。きっとローザおばさんもそこさ。
ママはお屋敷なら行く。
そうだね。お屋敷に行こうか。多分親たちはもう向こうに行ってるんだよ。
Maria regained her usual composure so completely, her earlier tantrum now seemed like a lie. We got dressed, left the room, and headed towards the mansion. Once more there was a knocking sound on the study door, but there was no answer. He seemed to be sleeping still, but I could not wake him. If she went back downstairs and said something like that, Ava would probably be amused and triumphant. And even putting Ava aside, there was a problematic that Kinzo had stayed shut away during this entire once-a-year conference, not even coming down to greet anyone. Even the family head, no, especially the family head, couldn't fail to make an appearance. I wonder if I can convince him myself. Natsume righted herself and used the key she borrowed from Genji to open the door. Even though she was prepared for a sweet stench, which seemed to eat at one's brain as it poured out of the small crack of the door, she couldn't help but grimace. Thinking she might be still sleeping, Natsume entered the room quietly. When she did, Kinzo was already awake and looking down out the window.
お目覚めでしたか。おはようございます。
どうやって入ったのか。
Kinzo spoke with his back still facing her. His voice was not harsh, but calm, and Natsume was slightly reassured. However, though he was awake, he wouldn't have ignored all that knocking if he was in a good mood. That's why he wasn't able to relax.
申し訳ございませんでした。源氏さんにお願いして書斎の鍵をお借りさせていただきました。
ほう、源氏がか。我が友がそれに足ると思ったならば話を聞かぬわけにもいくまい。して私に何用か。
はい。もうじき朝食の準備が整いますが、ぜひお父様にもおいでいただきたく思いまして。
朝食はここで取る。いつものように運ばせるがいい。
しかしお父様、年に一度の親族会議です。せめてお顔をお見せになってください。
下に降りて私の死後遺産をどのように食いちぎるのかを決める議論に加われというのか。バカらしい。そのような話は私を抜きで好きに進めるがいい。そしてそれが親族会議だというなら私がこの部屋を出るほどの価値はない。私は忙しいのだ。構うでない。
His last words carried the threat that any further questions would not be appreciated. That's when he realized that adding any further pleas would finally bring his wrath down upon her. She didn't look forward to facing Ava's sarcasm, but there was nothing more Natsuki could do.
そうですか。わかりました。みんな残念がるでしょうが、そう伝えます。
Natsuki decided to give up. Bowing silently, she tried to leave the room before Kinzo's spasmodic temper could flare up. As she did, Kinzo spoke to her. His voice was so calm and gentle, it felt like it came from an entirely different person.
夏日、後ろ宮の家に嫁ぎ、もう随分になるな。
はい。後宮を名乗ることを許されてから、もう随分になります。
前の家が恋しくなることもあるか。
いいえ。嫁ぐとは、成果を捨てることです。私は後宮夏日。帰る家も、懐かしむ家も、すべてはこの後宮の家のみです。
She truly wasn't exaggerating. Such was the resolve she felt whenever she applied the Ushiramiya family name to herself. And that's precisely why she was so saddened when her husband didn't treat her like an Ushiramiya, leaving her to race about in vain.
クラウスが女で、お前がその夫であったなら。いや、それは言うまい。
それは、どういう意味ですか、お父様。
Natsuhi was shocked. If Kinzo's words just now were what they seemed, it would have been more than enough to make up for all that she'd suffered up to that point.
忘れよ。年寄りのざれ言だ。
Kinzo once again faced away from her. He told her to forget it, but Natsuhi couldn't help but feeling a warmth in her heart.
お父様、この夏日は血はつながらずともお父様の娘です。後宮家の名誉も栄光も、そしてお父様が残されたものもすべて、この夏日が必ずや守ってみせますから。
お前に片翼のわしをまとう資格はない。しかしお前の心には確かに片翼のわしが刻まれている。ならばお前は間違いなく我が血族で後宮家の栄光を引き継ぐ者だ。お前の衣服にわしがないことを嘲笑う者もいよう。しかしそれに耳を貸すことはない。心にわしを持つ者だけが真の私の血族なのだ。お前を後宮家に迎えられたことを今は光栄に思っている。
Without saying anything more, Kinzo remained with his back to Natsuhi. However, Natsuki couldn't help but feel something warm well up inside her that she hadn't felt since long ago, when she was just a child. Natsuki bowed silently to his back and left the room.
あら、ちょうどいいタイミングだったわね。お父様の様子はどう？あんまり遅いから様子を見に来ちゃったのよ。
When Natsuki left the study, she saw Ava climbing the stairs and their eyes met. Ava was smirking unpleasantly, thinking that Natsuki would leave drudgingly after failing to convince Kinzo. However, the way Natsuki was now, such a frivolous laugh would not disturb her. She was not permitted to wear the family crest on her clothing, but she was permitted to wear it in her heart. So she spoke calmly, clearly, and confidently, with the dignity of the one who would protect the Ushiromiya family's glory.
お父様は親族会議にはおいでにならないそうです。汚らわしい議題に関心はないと仰せです。とかなんとか言っちゃって。お父様を説得できなかったんなら素直にそう言えばいいじゃない。哀れですね。お父様が嘆かれるお気持ちも分かろうというものです。それはどういう意味よ。
Natsuki did not answer. Just as Kinzo had done earlier, she showed Ava her back as she headed down the stairs. Ava finally realized that she was being made fun of, that something had happened to quickly bolster Natsuki's confidence. Even so, she apparently didn't have the courage to risk Kinzo's wrath. Unable to even knock on the door, she could only click her tongue, make a motion as though scratching at it, and then follow after Natsuki.
それで兄さんたちはいたの？お父様に聞いたの？聞きそびれましたが、書斎の中にはいませんでした。お父様が夫たちの下船な話のために入室を許すこともありえませんから、行き先を知ることもないでしょう。下に降りて使用人たちが探してくれるのを待ちましょう。朝食は遅れますが、お茶でもいかがです、エヴァさん。別に結構よ。
Ava couldn't hide her confusion at the complete difference in Natsuki's attitude. She was acting so boldly, while Ava hated to admit it. She had a sense of dignity about her. Unable to find fault with anything, Ava could only follow Natsuki back to the parlor. When the two of them returned to the parlor, Hideyoshi had been joined by the 4 children and Nanjo. Genji, who had been talking with Hideyoshi, reported the current situation when he noticed that Natsuki had returned.
主人たちはまだ見つからないのですか？
はい、申し訳ございません。あと、熊沢が朝食の準備に入りました。もう少し時間をいただきたいとのことです。
The clock read a little past 8. 8 should have been the time to start breakfast. Normally going over that time limit would be a disgrace to the host.
今、カノンが表を探しています。それから、シャノンの姿も見えません。
シャノンまで？まったく、主人は何を従えて散歩に出かけたのですか？
Just how many people had gone missing by now? Now that the number was this large, it was starting to feel truly unpleasant, as though the people here were the only ones being left out of something interesting. At least that seemed to reflect the feelings of the children, and Maria in particular. She was indignant, her stomach growling, almost as her mother and others had left her alone to go off and eat something delicious without her. The other children were flipping through the channels on the television, trying to find a program that might interest Maria and cheer her up again. Najo was sitting on the sofa, gazing blissfully at the children while reading a book. It must have been a book about chess. The sound of footsteps came rushing towards them with a pitter-patter. There was only one set, so they realized before seeing who it would belong to that it was probably Cannon, not Kraus and the rest.
奥様、失礼します。
その様子では見つけられなかったようですね。
申し訳ございません。まだ。
もう十分です。ご苦労をかけました。
She didn't know where they were, but they had to be somewhere on this island. They hadn't a thing to eat since the previous night, so their stomachs must be growling about now. They probably came plodding back on their own accord before long. By now, Natsuki was thoroughly exasperated and started to feel like there was no reason for them to go out of their way in search.
私はお客様方にお茶のご用意をしに厨房へ行きます。二人とも早朝からご苦労様でした。
Natsui left the parlor, acting as though the release in tension had caused a new surge in her headache. Cannon tried to call her back, but Natsui left swiftly.
どうした？まだ何かあるのか？
はい。旦那様方のお姿を見つけることはできませんでしたが、その...
Cannon sounded evasive. It looked as though he didn't know where they were, but he had spotted something that might be connected to their disappearance. Eva and Hideyoshi noticed this exchange of words and came over. They'd probably picked up on something strange in Cannon's behavior.
どうしたんや、カノン君。クラウス兄さんたちは見つかったんか？
実は、バラ庭園の倉庫の様子がおかしいのです。
様子がおかしいというのはどういう意味だ？
それが、何と説明すればいいのか。
Cannon hesitated once more. His tone wasn't at all what you'd expect from his usually fearless boy. Seeing this, Ava and Hideyoshi looked at each other dubiously.
どういうこと？倉庫の中に兄さんたちがいたんじゃないの？
いえ、中はこれから調べます。その鍵を取りに戻ったところなのですが、
ようわからんが、とにかく中を調べればいいだけの話じゃないか。その倉庫の鍵はどこにあるんや？
使用人室にあります。すぐに中を確かめましょう。
Cannon dashed to the servant's room and returned with the key. Genji left the parlor, saying that he would go check, but then Ava and Hideyoshi followed after them. What was this something strange about the storehouse that had caused the usually fearless Cannon to hesitate? It was still pouring outside, but perhaps their curiosity over this something that Cannon couldn't talk about won out. While the children made a big fuss about watching television, Cannon and the rest dashed over to the entrance. The Rose Garden storehouse was the place that housed various tools used to manage the garden. It was definitely not a pretty building. Because of its appearance, it had been built so it's hidden in the corner of the Rose Garden. Cannon, Genji, Eva, and Hideyoshi came cutting across the Rose Garden into holding umbrellas. They entered a small path just off the Rose Garden, which was normally off limits to those appreciating the garden and only used by those maintaining it. They dashed down that. The storehouse came into view in front of them. It was quite an old shed compared to the flawlessly perfect beauty of the Rose Garden. It was pretty seedy looking. It was easy to understand why it had been built as a hard-to-see place. Even Hideyoshi arrived at the storehouse long after Cannon and Genji.
カノン君たちは早いな。わしは心臓が爆発しそうや。
こんなところに倉庫なんか建ててたのね。何よそれ。
When Eva looked where Cannon was pointing, she was at a loss for words. Noticing this, Hideyoshi also followed Cannon's finger and was likewise too shocked to speak. The entrance to the storehouse was kind of a shutter. And there, everyone suddenly realized why Cannon had been unable to find words to describe what they now saw. On the shutter, which was completely filthy from being exposed to wind and rain for so long, stuck right on it, there was something that looked like a strange dark red liquid. Mucus? Or maybe it was some kind of sticky paint. An indescribably eerie shape was drawn on the shutter of some ghastly substance. The rain had caused it to drip like fresh blood leaking from an open wound. No more beating around the bush. Some kind of mark was drawn here, with a ghastly substance that looked like blood, in the shape that seemed to suggest something ominous. 2 circles were drawn here, and inside was a design that looked like a cross. The 4 ends of the cross were widely exaggerated, and it looked like some kind of crest from somewhere around Europe. And in the cracks between these shapes, written closely packed together, were some unfamiliar characters, or possibly symbols.
なんちゅう悪趣味な落書きや。これ、あれか？ 悪魔の儀式とかの魔法陣いうやつとちゃうか？
It wasn't surprising that Hideyoshi would say that about such a ghastly shape, drawn deep red dripping substance.
これいつ書かれたの？
昨日雨が降り出す前にここに来ましたが、その時には何も書かれてませんでした。
他の方々の目に触れる前に何とかしよう。ご覧になられたらご不快になられるだろう。
そうね、ただの倉庫小屋とはいえ、こんな気持ち悪い落書きを1秒たりとも放置したくないわ。
倉庫の中に塗料もあります。応急処置でとりあえず塗り消して、後日天気のいい日に改めて塗装しましょう。
Genji remembered he had just recently seen another scribble, and that too had been made with a strange dark substance of the same color as this. That must have been... That's right, he had seen it on the door in Natsuhi's room.
カノン君、さっさとこの落書きを消して戻りましょう。たとえ倉庫とはいえ、実家の落書きは本当に腹立たしいわ。
はい、すぐに済ませますので。
Cannon squatted down in front of the shutter and unlocked it. He then lifted it up with all his strength. A boisterous nose resounded, and the eerie shape drawn on the shutter began to get sucked in through the top of the shutter was raised. At least for the time being, that ominous drawing disappeared from their direct gaze, and they all breathed a sigh of relief. Thanks to the kids' program they came across, Maria was feeling much better. Valor and Jessica were poking fun at the kids' show at every turn, cackling together. George was enjoying the program for Maria from her perspective. Nigel sat on the sofa by himself, passing time by reading quietly. They heard hurried footsteps coming from the hallway. They were the footsteps of a single person. Did that mean that it wasn't the group of 4 that had just left? It was Genji. It was very rare for Genji, who considered being out of breath a violation of a servant's virtues, to be gasping for air. He had probably come dashing back from the outside of the mansion. His shoulders were soaking wet, and he didn't have his usual trim appearance. When Genji noticed Nanjo looking at him, he gave a small silent bow and quickly approached him.
Nanjo sensei, 申し訳ございません。至急お越しください。
何事ですかな?
As Genji whispered something into Nanjo's ears, Nanjo went pale. He rose from the sofa, trying not to be noticed by the children who were still engrossed by the TV, and the two of them rapidly left the parlor, muffling their footsteps. Just as they were about to exit the parlor, they came across Natsui, who was pushing a serving cart loaded with a tea set. Genji whispered something in Natsui's ear, and Natsui went pale too in apparent shock. Then, leaving the serving cart where it was, the 3 of them dashed toward the entrance. George noticed them running down the rose garden through the window.
なんだろう、源氏さんと南條先生と、あれは夏日おばさんかな。
どうしたんだよ、兄貴。
何かあったのかな。ひどい慌てようだったね。
When Jessica and Maria saw that Ava, Hideyoshi, and Nanjo were no longer in their seats and that the serving cart had been abandoned in the entrance to the parlor, they realized that something was the matter.
何か事故でもあったとか？
行ってみようぜ。俺たちだけのけ者なんて面白くねえしな。
For some reason, what Balor said sounded extremely indiscreet. But they couldn't deny that they were a little insecure and concerned after seeing the adults run off into the rain, without regards to their appearance.
行ってみようぜ。何があったか気になるぜ。
Jessica's uneasy words spoke for all of them.
おい、マリア。お前も来るか？それとも、テレビを見てるか？
うん。マリアはテレビがいい。うん。
僕たちだけで行こう。マリアちゃん、すぐ戻るからね。テレビを見て待ってるんだよ。
By the time the kids made it outside, the adults were no longer in sight. But Jessica seemed to have a good idea where they'd gone, judging by the direction they'd been running. Following Jessica, we ran through the rain-soaked garden. The wind seemed to suddenly get stronger. The malicious sound of thunder began to ring out like it had the previous night. It felt like an eerie something had surrounded the island, and that was trying to stop us from moving forward.
ジェシカ、この先には何があるんだ？
確か園芸道具なんかの倉庫があったはずだぜ。
そんなところに一体何があるんだろうね。
Just as Jessica had said, they began to see a storehouse in front of them. They could also see the adults there. The shutter of the storehouse was open, and several adults looked as though they were searching for something. For some reason, only Natsuki was outside the storehouse. Without even holding an umbrella, she looked like she was hanging her head, and her back was facing them. There was Genji, Nanjo, and Natsuki who had just left the mansion. The ones who had left earlier, Ken and Ava Hideyoshi, were also there, making for a small crowd of people. There was absolutely no bustle or activity. When Natsuki realized the children were approaching, a terrible expression rose to her face, and she ran at them with her arms spread wide. But despite that, no, because of that, the kids saw the scene Natsuki was trying to keep away from them. Inside the storehouse with its shutter wide open, a faint fluorescent light shone down. And right there was... Jessica's piercing shriek ran out. But that was just because Jessica's scream was the loudest. The same thing could spilled out of Battler and George's mouths as well. Ava spread her arms just like Natsuki, roaring at the kids with a bone-chilling expression on her face.
Georgie!
When Natsuki spread her arms, I thought she was trying to prevent us from advancing any further. But that wasn't why Ava was spreading her arms right now. She was trying to stop us kids from seeing that terrible scene. It was her mother's heart trying to protect the eyes and hearts of us children by blocking our views of that terrible scene by at least the width of her arms. I'd seen this kind of cheap scene all too often. In manga, TV, anime, movies, I'd seen it over and over again. It was just seeing something appear in real life that I'd seen plenty of times before in some of those more sensational movies, right? That alone shouldn't... but that suit, it's that old bastard's, isn't it? I get it. And that's Uncle Kraus. And Kirie-san and Aunt Rosa... Aunt Natsuki caught Jessica in her arms and Aunt Ava caught George Aniki. So I was the only one who could approach the entrance to the storehouse. If only there had been someone there to catch me too. I wouldn't have needed to see this horrible, evil scene burn into my eyes. No, that's not it. It isn't that there's no one here to catch me. The people who should catch me, they're right here, aren't they? Just as Jessica said, it did look like a storehouse for gardening tools. A lawnmower with extra blades, a grass sickle and a hammer, some carpentry tools such as a saw, piled up potted plants in a bag of fertilizer, and treated just the same, the corpses of several people had been laid to rest here. No, they had been tossed in there. I could tell them by their clothes. That old bastard and Kirie-san, Uncle Kraus and Aunt Rosa. Beyond that, Goda-san and... There's still more? How many people died? You're fucking kidding me. I can't even count them on one hand, damn it! I didn't know whether it had been one of those gardening tools, which if used for something other than their intended purpose could definitely be wielded with a naked brutality, or whether some horrible tool had been brought here specifically for this. Anyway, each one of the bodies jammed in here had been given an atrocious makeup. It wasn't makeup, it was more like their faces had been plowed. Their faces were smashed, forced into expressions that formal people couldn't make even after death. I couldn't even tell where the eyes or noses were, but I could find their mouths because they were all gaping wide, their gums exposed. But their front teeth were missing, and even the cheeks that should have been covered in all this were all torn up and laid bare. That trendy makeup you always spent so much time on, even though you're a man isn't doing a thing now.
Oyaji! てめえは絶対地獄行きだとは思ってたぜ。でもよ、ここまでじゃねえだろ。ここまでひでえ目に遭わされるほどの悪党じゃなかっただろうがよ。だからキリエさんもさ、こんな男と付き合うのはやめろって言ったんだ。あんたまでそこまでの目に遭わされる理由は何もねえじゃねえかよ。顔がねえ、顔がねえよ。くそくそくそくそ。
バトラさん、これ以上見てはいかん。こんな姿をお父さんもお母さんもあんたに見せたいわけがない。お父さんとお母さんのためにもこれ以上見てはいかん。
死者ってのは安らかに眠る顔ってやつを拝ませてくれるんじゃねえのかよ。顔がねえんだよ。俺の親父とキリエさんの顔がねえんだよ。どういう顔して死んじまったのかそれすらもわかんねえんだよ。なんだよ俺は。親父たちのことを思い出すときはこのくちゃくちゃの化け物みてえな顔をいつも思い出せたのかよ。そいつが最高だぜ。クソ親父のニヤニヤとした顔を思い出さなくていいんだからよ。最高だぜ最高だぜ。でもよ、キリエさんの顔くらいはいいだろ。キリエさんの悪党じゃねえ。たまにはムカつくと思ったけどよ、ちょいとかっこいい俺の姉気分だったお人じゃねえかよ。こりゃねえよ、こんなのってねえよ。黒沢おじさんなんかまだマシじゃねえか。顔面じゃなくて側面だぜ。少なくとも顔半分は残ってるじゃねえかよ。まだマシだぜまだマシだぜ。
Jessica filled her ears with the sound of Rowan screaming, trying to shut out my reckless words.
よすんだバタラ君、もうよすんだ、もうよすんだ。
兄貴兄貴。
Disregarding age and appearance, I fell to my knees, clinging to Aniki's waist and sobbing. It was as if I was crying on behalf of everyone there. Representing the feelings of everyone there, I screamed over and over.
「お父さん、倒れているのはクラウスおじさん、ルドルフおじさん、キリエおばさんにローザおばさん、ゴーダさんで5人。
いや、6人や。ここにもう一人おる。
The body Hideyoshi was looking down on now happened to be hidden among the shadows of the mountain range of objects, in a blind spot to George, who stood by the entrance. So George couldn't tell whose body it was. So George cursed himself. He cursed the fact that his worst guesses always turned out to be right.
じゃあお父さんの足元に倒れているのはシャノンなんだね。
ああ、シャノンちゃんや。
George fell completely silent. He shook slightly, his lower lip trembling. Normally, he would have wanted to run to his beloved's body, screaming and crying. However, before rashly rushing forward, he worked to keep his composure and asked his father.
シャノンもクラウスおじさんたちと同じなのかな。
Hideyoshi deeply understood the meaning of those words, so he couldn't give George an immediate answer. Or rather, he felt that silence was the only sincere and loving response he could give George right now. When George asked if Shannon was the same, he meant to ask whether her corpse had been in the same condition as the others or not. Since Hideyoshi hadn't denied it, it meant her corpse was in the same brutal state.
シャノンを見てもいいかな。
いや、あかん。
どうして？だってもう二度とシャノンの顔を見られないんだよ。その最後の顔、どうして見たらいけないんだよ。
お前が最後にシャノンちゃんに会ったのは昨日か。
うん。
そうか。そのシャノンちゃんは別れ際にお前にどんな顔を見せたんや。
素敵な笑顔だったよ。
After he handed her the ring, she hesitated even though she must have already made up her mind. Then she looked bashful, and ran away because she was embarrassed to let him see her face looking like that. That's the expression that was revived in George's mind.
そうか。ならシャノンちゃんもその笑顔をお前に残したいと願うはずや。
Hideyoshi looked down on Shannon's body lying at his feet. Just like the other bodies, it was in such a horrible state that it'd make anyone want to cover their eyes. Her head had been smashed in from the side. No more than half of her expression remained. The remaining blood-soaked half of her expression had been wiped clean. With that graceful smile of hers had peeked out, but only half of it. Without thinking, Hideyoshi slapped his hands over his eyes. How brutal. If her face was going to be crushed anyway, then if only all of it had been crushed, he might have been able to temporarily distract George from his pain by making the pathetic suggestion that it was someone else wearing Shannon's clothes. But half her face had been left untouched. It caused the body so much humiliation, while proving beyond a doubt that the body was Shannon and no one else's. How inhuman, how brutish. And there, trying his best to burn the image of the remaining half of Shannon's expression to his eyes as she lay at Hideyoshi's feet, was Cannon. Cannon was not crying. Tears had risen to his eyes, but they did not drip down. But that didn't mean that he wasn't feeling as much sadness as everyone else. Losing Shannon, who had lived with them in the same orphanage, whom he had loved as a sister, must have been just the same as losing a blood relative.
ジョージ、シャノンちゃんはきっとありがとう言ってるぞ。お前に恥ずかしいところを見られとうなかったんや。きっとお前が耐えてくれたこと感謝しとるで。
分かってる。分かってるよ、父さん。分かってるよ。
George leaned against the outside wall of the storehouse, crouching down limply.
父さん、頼みがあるんだ。
なんや。
僕の代わりに見てほしいんだ。シャノンは指に指輪をつけてるかな。
指輪？ちょいと見てみる。
As Hideyoshi crouched down. As he did, Cannon silently pointed to one of Shannon's hands.
ああ、あるで。こりゃダイヤの指輪や。クズダイヤとちゃう。なかなかの値打ちもんや。
それはどっちの手のどの指にあるのかな。
と左手の薬指や。そっか、シャノンちゃん婚約しとったんか。
ジョージ、あなたまさか。
エヴァ、 今はそんなん関係ないで。シャノンちゃんは男に将来を約束されとったんや。一生を幸せにしちゃると男に言わせたんや。それが誰かは問題とちゃうで。男にそこまで言わしめて女の本懐やないか。いつこの指輪をもらったんかは知らん。誰が渡したかも知らん。だがそれでもシャノンちゃんは指輪をもらえたんや。そしてそれを受け入れ左の薬指に通したんや。指輪を送った男もきっと喜んだんとちゃうか。
To most of the people there, Hideyoshi was simply disturbed by this extraordinary situation and was blurting out nonsense. However, someone who knew of George and Shannon's true relationship would understand the full meaning of those words.
そっか。ありがとう、父さん。
George stood up. The traces of tears still streaked his face, and his expression had returned to its usual calm one.
行こう。バトラ君、ジェシカちゃん。これ以上僕たちがここにいると大人の邪魔になる。
そうだな。
Jessica sniffled once more, showing her face to her mother, who had been holding her the whole time, to let her know she was okay now. When she faced George again, she once again had her usual expression, although she still couldn't smile.
バトラー、しっかり。
Battler kept crouching in front of his parents' bodies.
すまねえな。がっつり泣いたら落ち着いたぜ。親父の野郎。普段はクソクソ言ってるくせに。ちょっと死んじまったくらいでピーピー泣くんじゃねえぜって。笑ってやがれ。仕方ねえだろ。親が死んだら泣くように。遺伝子すり込まれちまってったからよ。
Battler's face was still bright red from the tears, but he had at least recovered enough to fake a smile, if only a bitter one.
カノン、お前もこれ以上ここにいてはいけません。子供たちを連れてお屋敷に戻っていなさい。
Natsuki had been standing under the rain the whole time, unable to take a step into the storehouse. Maybe she had her own way of grieving, different from Battler's. Realizing that she had to take on the role of responsibility now that her husband was dead, she gave Cannon these orders.
はい、奥様。
Cannon rose slightly and turned to face me. His face was pure white, almost as though his own heart had died along with Shannon, and there was no life in his expression. On an ordinary day, if he had been told to guide the children to the beautiful rose garden, Cannon might have led the way. But now, there's no distinction between Cannon and the children. They were now just kids about the same age, suffering the pain of losing those close to them. After making sure the children were leaving, Natsuki started giving orders to Genji.
ケンチ、すぐに警察に連絡しなさい。台風が通り過ぎるまでは来られないでしょうが、どうすればいいか指示を与えてくれるはずです。
わかりました。防災用の無線機がありますので、それで連絡します。
When she heard that, Natsuki remembered. That's right, the phones were out today, weren't they? However, they also had a radio, since they couldn't necessarily rely on phones all the time while living on an isolated island. At any rate, they should start by contacting the police and receiving their instructions. Everything else could wait.
ナチョ先生、もうこの場はどうしようもありませんか。
残念ながら私には何もできませんな。
わかりました。源氏、せめて主人たちの顔を何かで覆ってやることはできませんか。このような姿を晒すことは当人にとっても屈辱的でしょうから。
はい。
Genji picked up several dried up towels from inside the storehouse, when Ava stopped him with a shrill voice.
ちょっとちょっと、お待ちなさいよ。ここは犯行現場なんでしょ。なら変に手を加えちゃダメよ。私たちは混乱してて現場に土足で踏み入っちゃったけど、 それはきっと警察の捜査の邪魔になったわよ。
Natsui glared at Ava, offended. Objectively speaking, Ava was right. Even so, she glared at Ava as though accusing her of refusing to do those tragic corpses, which had been humiliated even after death, the simple kindness of covering their faces. However, Ava had spoken calmly and correctly. This horrible situation definitely wasn't an accident. It was a crime. Someone had killed them. It was a murder case. So they needed to be careful to avoid disturbing the site of any further. They had to do what little they could to aid the police, preserving clues that might help catch the detestable culprit.
私もエヴァさんに賛成ですな。警察が来るまでここは手をつけずにしておくべきです。
奥様、いかがなさいますか。
そうですね。わかりました。ここを閉ざしなさい。それから念のためここに別の施錠をするように。
別の施錠？
ええ、ここに来た時シャッターの鍵は閉じていました。ということはシャッターの鍵を使い犯人が施錠したということです。
確かに通りや。じゃあここを開けた限り犯人の指紋が残ってるんとちゃうんか。
警察に証拠として提出する価値はあるでしょうけど、カノン君が普通に持ってここを開けるのに使用しちゃったわ。多分カノン君の指紋も付着しちゃってるわよ。そしてその鍵はさっき源氏さんに手渡され、源氏さんも素手で受け取ってる。大した証拠にはなりそうにないわね。
それは不用心でした。申し訳ございません。
源氏さん、この倉庫の鍵は他にもあるんか？
いいえ、この一つだけです。
ということは犯人はその鍵を使用人室から持ち出し、そして律儀に元の場所に戻したちゅうことになるな。
Hideyoshi's theory sounded plausible, but it was actually very strange if you thought about it. Why would they go through all the trouble of returning a key they stole? No, if you think about it more deeply, there are some points that are even more bizarre. When a criminal hides a body, they're usually trying to delay the point at which it will be found, so they can use that time to escape. The six weren't necessarily killed here, but it was reasonable to assume that they were killed somewhere on this island, carried to the storehouse, and hidden to delay the discovery of the crime. And yet, the eerie magic circle scribbled on the storehouse shutter had eloquently indicated the location of the hidden corpses. Surely it didn't explicitly mention the corpses, but the 6 people had gone missing. In that situation, someone had made such an obvious piece of graffiti and even returned the key to the shutter. Almost as though they wanted the corpses here to be discovered.
とにかく一度は犯人が開け閉めをした施錠だけでは信用できません。犯人の手からもこの場所を保護する意味で施錠を新たにしたいと言っているのです。
いい案だと思います。私も賛成です。
Genji fished around inside the storehouse and unsealed a brand new padlock that had been inside a small box.
鍵はどうなさいますか？
私が持ちましょう。責任を持って警察に手渡します。
After he took the key to the padlock from Genji's hand. After that, they all exited and lowered the shutter. And so the corpses were once again sealed behind the shutter, which was still covered in that creepy magic circle. Genji crouched down in front of the shutter to fasten the new padlock. Shutters often have a place in front where you can attach your own lock, in addition to the main lock of the shutter. This was one of those types. In the midst of the roar of the thunder and the pouring rain, the storehouse stood there ominously. With its closed shutter still covered in a blood-like, creepy substance, it swallowed up the bodies of the 6. To Natsuki, putting the new lock wasn't mainly to preserve the scene for the police. She might have felt like she wanted to shut that mouth for all eternity, to prevent the eerie beast from swallowing up any more victims.
さあ、行きましょう、皆さん。南條先生、ご足労をありがとうございました。源氏は急いで警察に連絡を。
戻りましたらすぐに連絡します。
The adults left the storehouse. The ghastly magic circle drawn on the shutter kept the 6 bodies in its throat, looming eerily as the lightning occasionally lit it up.